It's a release from being dependent on fossil fuel.
It left the challenge to us to just develop the technology.
The world in the future geared towards using renewable energy to energize the whole world.
We think that in the future we might be a power generation center. That would be something.
This is the way to go.
The growing global demand for electricity and the limited supply of fossil fuels like diesel has driven the global prices up. This phenomenon has made fuels that run our power plants very expensive to import. Aside from contributing to global warming by emitting greenhouse gases and other pollutants into the environment, these fossil fuels have become limited in supply and will be exhausted in the future considering how heavily the world consumes it. During these modern times, many Filipinos in far-flung barangays are still being deprived of electricity. Being unenergized, those communities have very low economic activity and, therefore, limited means of livelihood. Bringing power to far-flung areas is constrained by the infrastructure system in the distribution grid. If only we can harness the power of the sun, the wind, and other renewable resources in those areas to light up those communities, life would be better. But that is no longer wishful thinking. The Philippines is fortunate enough to have been blessed with indigenous sources of energy that are virtually free and inexhaustible. They are clean, abundant, and renewable, and indeed they can be tapped as our own sources of energy. Efforts to utilize our renewable energy resources have been initiated around the country. But since there is now an urgent need to reduce our dependence on imported fuels, it becomes imperative to expand the utilization of our renewable sources of energy. The capacity building to remove barriers to renewable energy development in the Philippines, or the CBRED project, is a joint undertaking of the United Nations Development Program, or UNDP, and the Department of Energy, or DOE, and supported by grants from the Global Environment Facility, or GEF. CBRED aims to help achieve the government's goal of increasing renewable energy-based capacity by 100% in 2013. According to the Philippine Energy Plan of 2005, 40% of the total energy requirements of the Philippines will then be supplied by renewable energy. The DOE and concerned government agencies are aggressively promoting the provision of adequate, affordable, and reliable energy services to improve the quality of life of the people, most especially in the countryside. Renewable energy is being widely used in the government's rural electrification programs. CBRED is also seen as a strategy to encourage more people to invest in these types of energy sources in order to reduce Philippine dependence on imported fuels.
Main aim of the project really is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And how do we do that? We enhance, we build the capacities of stakeholders to remove barriers to renewable energy development. By developing our renewable energy sources, we have abundant resources here in the Philippines compared with other countries. So truly we are blessed.
The CBRED Market Service Center is envisioned to be a self-sustaining organization to assist investors in developing and implementing the renewable energy projects. So our role in encouraging the business sector to come into to develop renewable energy projects is to provide them with the services to facilitate the development and implementation of their projects.
The natural sunny climate of this tropical country provides a good opportunity to harness solar power. Here in Cagayan de Oro City, the Cagayan Electric Power and Light Company, or CEPALCO, operates a grid-connected photovoltaic or PV system. This system converts the energy of the sun into electricity that is fed into the distribution grid of Cepalco to energize the city of Cagayan de Oro and its outlying areas.
This project came into being when our renewable energy initiatives of Cepalco was noticed by the International Finance Corporation. Our interest in renewable energy dates back mga early 90s. Instead of just putting up a small scale solar photovoltaic system, the IFC, through the fund from the Global Environment Facility, negotiated with us to build a bigger power plant. Cepalco's service territory covers the entire city of Cagayan de Oro and the nearby municipalities. We are serving now 3 municipalities of Misamis Oriental. And in fact, this plant, which is just 1 megawatt in capacity, is less than 1% of our total system demand.
On the other hand, the SunPower Philippines Manufacturing Limited, located in Binyan, Laguna, is proud to be the first manufacturer of photovoltaic or PV cells in Southeast Asia. Their clientele are mostly European countries, America, and Japan, where they sell over thousands of solar panel units every year.
The renewable energy is at the point of revolutionizing themselves. Renewable energy is starting to pick up, and eventually we'll probably see a vision where the world in the future is predominantly geared towards using renewable energy. Currently, our market are predominantly in Europe, particularly in Germany, also in Japan, and beginning to pick up in the North American countries. We see a future where solar energy will be available to all the people in the world, and start up a change and change the life of the people.
SunPower hopes to encourage the local market to use solar energy for their electricity requirements, not only in residential, but commercial establishments as well.
The solar panels can be placed in your homes, and then hindi mo na kailangan ng distribution wires. You don't need a power source from a distant land and send it to you. Plus, eventually the cost of itself is free because you're getting energy from the sun. Right now, the maximum we could go is 21% efficiency. If you could put it up to 25, then bababa ang cost niya. Eventually, it will be cheaper than buying Meralco, than buying electricity.
Malaki ang ipinagbago sa aming barangay, no, dahil nung wala pa kaming kuryente, ilaw lang ng gas. Pero ngayon, kahit madaling araw, pag lumalakad yung mga asawa namin sa manguha sila ng mga isda, nakabuksan lang namin yung inverter namin, maliwanag na kaagad.
By the slopes of Mount Makiling in Laguna, we find a geothermal power plant called Macban, which stands for Makiling Banahaw. The Macban geothermal plant provides electricity to the provinces of Laguna and Batangas, contributing over 425 megawatts of electric power. It is operated by UPI and is one of the 7 geothermal facilities of the country that has made the Philippines the largest geothermal user in the world. It is said that 1 out of 5 electric bulbs in the Philippines is being powered from geothermal plants. In a geothermal field, production wells are drilled to extract geothermal fluids or steam. The steam is scrubbed of impurities before it is supplied to power plants to run the turbines. The turbines, in turn, power the generators that produce electricity. The energy that comes from geothermal sources also produce very small amounts of greenhouse gases compared to fossil-based fuels.
Geothermal is one of the best of the renewable energy available right now. The operation of geothermal is a closed circuit type. It means that everything we produce, we bring it back to where it comes from. We're coexistent with the community. We really need to deal with the community with great care, because we just cannot make our operations be out of control. So we have like long pipelines, extending in the community areas. So we need to make our operations as safe as possible. Every time we see anything that needs to be corrected, we're really up to spend money in order to correct that. geothermal is still good business. Yeah.
Just an hour away from the geothermal plant of Macban, the road leads a traveler to a beautiful and quiet escape from the city. Villa Escudero in Chaong, Quezon is known to be one of the tourist destinations in this part of southern Luzon. The estate is a sprawling structure covering around 40 hectares of land that houses the resort and about 80 households of the support staff. It is also home to several micro hydropower plants, the oldest of which was built around 1937 by the ancestors of the current owners who thought of using water power from the nearby rivers. 3 small plants located in separate areas of the resort operate on what is called run-of-the-river power, provided by the Bulasin and Labasin rivers that flow into the Escudero estate. Their turbines generate different volumes of electric power, which gives the owners savings of at least 50% in their electricity costs.
My great-grandfather built a dam for irrigation, primarily, and then his son, Arsenio Escudero, saw the potential and built a bigger dam and built a hydroelectric plant in 1937. Ever since, we've been running, if not 100%, maybe 80% on hydro up to this day. This hydro is able to power about 50 hectares. It's capital intensive. You will spend a lot of money in the beginning. But in about 5 or 6 years, you will get your return of investment.
Here in Pililla, Rizal, the Rocky Farm boasts of their own biogas technology. Biogas is slowly emerging as another source of renewable energy, especially for farms whose business are focused on animal raising. The energy from the biogas facility supports about 40% of the total power requirement of the whole farm, which translates to peso savings related to farm operations.
You make use of the waste or yung feces ng pigs, no? And then it is all collected in one reservoir. When it's collected in one reservoir, it will be producing gas. As of hindi pa nag-exist ang biogas, I think maabot kami ng 150,000 to 200. Now we are only spending about probably half. The benefit is that yung energy savings mo, yung energy utilization mo, if you have a small community within the farm, probably for imbes na bibili ng gasol, yun ang gamitin. Ika nga environment friendly, user friendly na rin.
The Garin Farm in Gimbal, Iloilo is an interesting destination. People from all over Iloilo and nearby provinces travel all the way here to get a glimpse of a demo farm whose concept is most unique. There is also a huge piggery at the back of the demo farm, and here, animal wastes collected in a reservoir are converted into methane gas, which they use to fire stoves and ovens for pasteurizing milk, baking breads, and cooking in the farm restaurant. Because of this practice of using animal waste materials in biogas production, the Garin Farm is not only supporting the requirements of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, or the DENR, on the zero waste management in farms, but is also producing gas for its own use.
Yung biogas ginagamit sa cooking gas. Halimbawa, yung pag-pasteurize ng gatas, yung cooking sa restaurant, yung sa bakery, ginagamit din namin yan. Sa halimbawa kami dito, hindi na kami bumibili ng mga cooking gas, mga LPG, hindi na. So, economic-wise, environment friendly pa. Makakatipid po kami ng almost 50,000 pesos a month sa paggamit ng biogas technology.
Iba talaga yung dating ng andyan on the spot, they can see for themselves. So it's easier for me to convince them to do these things in their places, to help themselves and to help the community. It's actually, the purpose is transfer of technology so that the Filipino people can improve themselves in whatever little way that they can afford. Say, sustainable energy. So the purpose is to convince people to do the same. Gayahin nila. It's starting to produce effects in the area. Maraming interesado, especially itong biogas. I hope that more investors will be interested and replicate this farm in their own region or province.
Meanwhile, up north in the province of Ilocos Norte, 15 windmills have now become an awesome attraction to tourists visiting the area with the installation of the country's first wind power plant in Bangi Bay. The wind turbines of the North Wind project are actually more than just a sight to behold, as they have become complementary sources of energy for the city of Lawag and the province of Ilocos Norte. The wind turbines convert the kinetic energy of the wind into mechanical energy. The mechanical energy in turn is converted into electricity by generators. The incessant strong winds in this area make the windmills a truly dependable source.
We have never imagined that we would come to Ilocos Norte and see such structures here, and for the purposes that they're here. So we're really rather proud. So we hope this will be the first of several phases. In terms of electricity and power generation for the province, it is going to be an enormous boost, especially not so much for the actual supply, but for the reliability of the power that we are getting. So it is a big day for us. We think that in the future we might be a power generation center. That would be something.
It started with our search for source of power in Ilocos Norte. We were looking for the development of a power plant that is environment friendly. We are thankful to the government of Denmark because they are very supportive in renewable.
Investors from other places in the country have come all the way up north to study how renewable energy such as this may be replicated elsewhere.
We're very positive. I think that renewable energy will work in the Philippines. I mean, we got natural resources that are untapped, you know, we buy expensive fuel, coal, etc. I think this is the way to go. We were trying to learn more from what Northwind has done and probably, you know, to speed up the project, and Northwind is in return is also very helpful in sharing their experiences with us. It's a long term, but you have to stick with it because like today you stand here and you look at this and you think, wow, this is great. You know, like they're saying, this is a beginning of it's a release from being dependent on fossil fuel.
Danida, the Danish funding institution, who has helped greatly in supporting this $55 million project, believes greatly in the value of renewable energy.
Danida would finance socially responsible project, meaning to say it has to, the local people has to benefit from it. So that is the main idea. It is very capital intensive equipment. It has been so popular. We have been supported by DOE, by the local government, and we had a vision to do something so that we can look into our children's eye and say we also took part of it. We all have a responsibility for the future.
Although current efforts in renewable energy sourcing are slowly gaining grounds among various stakeholders, there is still a huge need to encourage the private sector to be active participants in the arena of renewable energy projects. The CBRED project has earmarked some funds to support investors through project preparation funding support and a loan guarantee program. There is also a microfinance fund to support rural consumers' purchases of small renewable energy systems. In order to encourage more investors for renewable energy, CBRED is mounting a public awareness program to provide investors more information about the soundness of the business, especially in the light of minimal or even zero fuel cost. The support given by policymakers is also vital to renewable energy development. The passage of the Renewable Energy Bill will provide a more friendly environment to renewable energy generation and may help bring together the necessary financial support needed to initiate and sustain these projects.
Actually, renewable energy has been with us for almost 30 years. I think the problem lies in the awareness of the public, of our people on renewable energy. We cannot put up projects anywhere without the support and assistance of local government unit. So it's a synergy among UNDP, the Department of Energy, and the stakeholders.
We'd like to encourage you to make use of our renewable energy resources so that we don't get bogged down with the high price of oil. Of course, is our love for our own self, in our health, our children, our elders, who will be benefiting a lot from the use of renewable energy.
You have everything to gain when you develop your renewable energy. If you are able to develop this, then you are able to industrialize. Energy industrialization will actually develop your entire economy. We should invite foreign investment, local investment to put into that. You have to start. We have to develop this kind of consciousness, but to be able to do this, we have to convince our local government, the people's organizations, and media. I see no reason why our colleagues will not support this. It is just a question of explaining this and for each and everyone to study this. But if we put our hearts and our minds into this, and we have first and foremost our constituents, meaning the Filipino people, for today and for tomorrow, it's a win-win situation.
Indeed, the Philippines' vast resources make it a rich ground to promote and implement renewable energy. All that is needed is to develop these resources further. Efforts in utilizing renewable energy may yet prove to be the hope and stabilizing factor in the midst of many challenges facing our nation today. Their long-term use and widespread utilization will concretely translate into huge savings in dollars, which would otherwise be used for the importation of fossil fuel, which has been overused and soon will be in the brink of depletion. And for sure, the use of renewable energy will also paint a picture of a cleaner, greener, and a less polluted environment for our children and the future generations of Filipinos as well.